Hi, third grade. How are y'all doing? We're gonna do some more reading of Giant Squid. This is part 3 already, so hopefully you guys are learning some really interesting things about the giant squid. I know I am. If you didn't read the directions that I posted about making sure you have your wit and wisdom journal, you might want to go grab it now. I'll give you like 1 minute. Hopefully you know where it is. If you have your wit and wisdom journal, thank you for following directions. And can I just say how proud Mrs. Dean and I are of you guys and how hard you've been working. Do know that we are paying you for your hard work, and that there will be some rewards for the kids that get their work done when we get back to school next Wednesday. So, hard work pays off. Okay, so hopefully by now you have your wit and wisdom journal. Turn to your response, so that's the orange one. Find a nice blank page. Doesn't have any writing on it. Go ahead and write the date. Today is 10/30/20. Tomorrow's Halloween, so happy Halloween Eve. And while I'm reading to you, so we're gonna do 2 things. We're gonna read, and then you're gonna watch a video. And during both of those, I want you to jot, like stop and jot, remember? I want you to write down any questions or any new information that you learn. I know you won't be able to write them all because I'm a fast reader, so just anything that's new or you have questions about, write them down in your journal. All right, that'll be good. Okay. I'm gonna head on over to here. We're going to make this there. I don't know why it always does that. All right. So you'll know we left off yesterday here. You can see that okay. It says, how do deep sea creatures see in the dark? Below, a depth of 660 to 30,300 feet, the ocean is in permanent darkness. There, the blinking lights on tiny microscopic animals look like fairy dust. They illuminate the fangs of strange deep sea fishes. More than 3/4 of deep sea animals are bioluminescent. They produce their own living lights, like fireflies. Clyde wondered if giant squid also glow in the dark. That's a good question. So let's find out. Maybe, I don't know. Seeking out the giant squid's relatives. So here we have a little bit of light coming in here. Scientists study similar animals to learn about the characteristics and behaviors of elusive creatures, like the giant squid. They make deductions that may help them zero in on their target. Deductions is kind of like an educated guess. I don't know what's going on with this today. It's so fuzzy. Backing up a little bit. So if Clyde couldn't swim with a giant squid, he would find the next best thing. He went to Mexico's western coast, where the cold waters of the Humboldt Current are home to another large squid, the Humboldt squid. A Humboldt squid can weigh as much as 100 pounds and grow to be more than 8 feet long. Although not nearly as large as the other big squids, it has a reputation as a vicious killer. At night, Humboldt squid gather by the hundreds, even thousands, near the surface of the Sea of Cortez to hunt for fishes, shrimps, and other cephalopods. Fishermen there have a special name for this squid, Diablo Rojo, red devil. It earned its nickname partly because its body flashes deep red when it's caught on a fishing line, and partly because a Humboldt squid ferociously attacks bait, other Humboldt squid, and sometimes even humans. So here we have a Humboldt squid, known locally as a red devil, devours another Humboldt squid in the Sea of Cortez. Not our sea, different Cortez. I want to go there. Clyde learned firsthand about Humboldt squid attacks when he and a film crew from National Geographic accompanied the fishermen one night. The fishermen caught the Humboldt squid on a special fishing lure called jigs that allow the captured squid to slip off the line as soon as it's flipped aboard the boat. When a large female squid was caught on a jig, Clyde put on his wetsuit and scuba tank and dove underwater. Clyde moved in closer to get a closer look. He was staring into her open mouth when the squid suddenly nipped Clyde with her fist-sized beak and jetted away. Yikes. After several hours of observing and filming more Humboldt squid from a safer distance, Clyde climbed back into the boat, exhausted. He peeled off his wetsuit and discovered blood spurting from a deep wound where the squid had bitten him. He still has a scar on his thigh to remind him he might well have suffered a worse fate. Watching the Humboldt squid helped Clyde imagine how the giant squid might hunt and capture its food. It also made him wonder what an encounter with a giant squid might be like if it was as fierce as the red devil. I would imagine it would not be good, huh? Okay, let's see if we can focus. This is just so blurry today. All right, that's better, huh? The open beak of a Humboldt squid is a scary sight, especially if you encounter it underwater at night. Clyde holds up a Humboldt squid like the one that took a bite out of his leg. See, there's the wound from his squid bite. The wound can be seen on his thigh. Yikes. It kind of makes me think of the guy that got bit by the sharks, yet he kept researching them, huh? Let me turn this off. There is another gigantic squid. A squid known as the Colossal Squid is found in the cold, deep waters around Antarctica. If squids were athletes, the giant squid would be a long, lean basketball player. The Colossal Squid would be a football player. It's much heavier and bulkier than Archytis. How do I say that word? The first Colossal Squid, with strange fang-like suckers on its tentacles, was discovered in 1925 inside, you guessed it, the stomach of a sperm whale. Scientists have counted the number of colossal squid beaks found inside the stomachs of sperm whales. They have estimated that colossal squid make up 3/4 of the diet of the sperm whales that feed in the Southern Ocean, which surrounds Antarctica. So here we go. Let me get this straight. We have a giant squid, which is small compared to this colossal squid, people. This is why we don't go in the ocean, okay? Not into the deep parts anyway. A squid biologist examines a colossal squid. So there it is. Oh my gosh, it's huge. A big job compared to the giant squid. Its body is longer, but its arms are shorter. Well, that's not much better. Here we have the British sailing ship Silvery Light served as Clyde's research vessel on a National Geographic expedition off the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean. That makes me think of another boat we learned about in a different book. Diving deeper. Inspired by what he learned from the giant squid's cousins, Clyde was even more determined to search for his giant alive. He launched a National Geographic expedition to the Azores island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, where sperm whales go to feed. The sperm whale would show him the way. Clyde knew he couldn't dive deep enough to follow the whales. Giant squid live far deeper than a scuba diver can go, so Clyde had to find other ways to seek his giant. He enlisted the help of National Geographic photographer Greg Marshall, the inventor of the critter cam. Oh, that's a good invention. This special video camera can be attached to sea animals such as dolphins, seals, and sea turtles to record their underwater journeys. So the critter cam was invented by a National Geographic engineer and has been used to follow many different creatures, including penguins in the wild. Scientists used a big blue suction cup to attach the critter cam to a sperm whale's head. Interesting. How do you fasten a camera to a 100,000-pound wild animal? Very carefully. When the researchers were ready to attach the camera, they quietly paddled on an inflatable kayak towards a whale resting just under the water's surface. The whale remained surprisingly calm as they attached the camera to its head with a suction cup. A video camera depth recorder and audio recorder mounted on the suction cup recorded the whale's dive. An hour later, the camera was released from the whale. A pinging sound led the searchers to the camera, floating in the water. Interesting. The exciting scientists hauled the critter cam on board and played the video. Would they see the first glimpse of a giant squid in action? The whale had descended to 2,600 feet. The lights on the camera could penetrate only a few feet into the darkness at that depth. But the sound recorder allowed the scientists to hear the calls of distant whales. The sperm whale returned their calls. Gradually, more and more sounds collected around the whale. Clyde's team could hear the whales greeting each other. Perhaps they were saying, "I found a great place to get squid." They sent the critter cam down 7 more times on that expedition. Clyde learned a great deal about the giant squid's habitat and its predators. But he still hadn't found his squid. What about tracking the creatures that giant squid eats? What did we say giant squids eat? A small kayak may not seem the safest way to approach a sperm whale resting on the surface, but the scientists worried that a motorboat would scare it away. The things we do for science. Follow the food. A fellow scientist told Clyde he'd found deep sea fish called orange roughy inside the stomach of a dead giant squid. So Clyde led an oceanographic, I can't say that word, cruise to the underwater canyon where fishermen net these fish. Sperm whales also gather there. Clyde used an autonomous underwater vehicle, AUV, a miniature sub controlled from the surface by computer. He felt as if he were swimming among the fishes as he directed the sub from the control room of the research ship. Clyde learned more about what the giant squid eat and the other animals that live at those great depths, but he did not find the giant squid. Are giant squid good enough to eat? Clyde loves to eat squid, which is called calamari when prepared as food. I love calamari too. No one's ever tasted a giant squid, so Clyde, always curious, decided he should taste a specimen that one of his friends had stored in his fridge. It was very bitter, he recalls. The meat was analyzed and the scientists discovered the muscle contains a This is gross. The scientists discovered the muscles contain a chemical similar to the one in our urine. It's a fancy word for pee, guys. Yeah. So don't eat giant squid, okay? Moral of the story. The scientists launched the Odyssey, which is an AUV equipped with a critter cam in the nose. So that was the Odyssey. I think that was the fish that they eat too. Ancient fish, ancient forests. Oh, this is the orange roughy. Orange roughy are some of the longest lived fishes in the ocean. That's a fun fact. Left undisturbed, these fish may live to be more than 100 years old. The orange roughy inhabit huge groves of ancient tree corals up to 33 feet tall and more than 1,000 years old. Corals, though they may look like plants, are animals, relatives, or jellyfish and sea anemones. Orange roughy in the coral forests are being wiped out by deep sea trawlers. Trawlers? Their heavy nets mow down the ancient corals to scoop up the orange roughy, which are sold as deep sea perch. Before long, the orange roughy and this food for the giant squid will be gone. It's sad. On Clyde's next research trip, he and crews from Discovery Channel used a manned submarine called the Deep Rover. The sub explored an underwater canyon off the coast of New Zealand, where another favorite food of giant squid live, pokey fish. Sperm whales know that too. Young sperm whales go there to gorge on giant squid and other kinds of deep sea squids. Clyde figured that giant squid must be attracted to the bioluminescent light given off by most deep sea animals, so he dropped a sub with light sticks, like those that our trick-or-treaters carry on Halloween. A pilot inside the tiny sub maneuvered the Deep Rover Continual images from several video cameras beamed back to Clyde in the ship's control room as he watched expectantly. Clyde's team saw blue-green bioluminescent light show from the many deep-sea creatures, but the giant squid remained hidden. However, with each new expedition, Clyde learned new things about squid predators and squid prey. He learned about the giant squid's ecosystem, the area it lives in, and all it contains. All of these findings proved more and more clues to solving the secrets of the giant squid. So here we have the ship Kaharoa, which carried Clyde to Kaikoura Canyon, which was a deep trench off the coast of New Zealand. Here we have Clyde, who sits in a small submarine, the Deep Rover, shortly before it descends into the deep waters where giant squid lurk. And then we have the Deep Rover, carried several video cameras, both inside and out, ready to capture the giant squid on film. So you can see it here. It's got a bunch of cameras. I'm guessing that's all that. Discovering more about the deep sea ecosystem can tell us about squid, and more importantly, the future of giant squid. Fishing boats drag heavy nets across the ocean floor and destroy the habitats of many bottom-dwelling animals that giant squid depend on for food. Clyde worries that the ocean food web is threatened by overfishing. If the food supply of the giant squid disappears, this in turn will take away a main food source of the sperm whale. Clyde shared his findings with others who study giant squid. A small group of scientists called teuthologists thought they are spread all around the globe. Though they are spread all around the globe, they are bound together by their passion for the chief. Clyde and his colleagues had to find a way to let the world know about the giant squid. They hoped more people would care about the giant squid. If they could see one living peacefully in its natural habitat, they wanted to show the world that these monsters are fascinating creatures vital to the ocean environment. How to have a healthy ocean. Cephalopods, says Clyde, are great examples of biodiversity. This is because, as a group, they are spread all over the world, from shallow tropical reefs to the great depths of the ocean. A squid from Maine will look a lot like a squid from California. They're slightly different because of their different habitats and living conditions, enough so that they will not be able to mate and have offspring. They are known as different species. Preserving this fascinating variety of life is important for keeping all life in oceans healthy, Clyde says. The long-finned squid found off the coast of Maine is a popular species used in preparing calamari. All right, so I hope you guys had a chance to write down a bunch of new facts that you learned or new information. I know I learned some new things. Some things I didn't want to know, and now I know, but that's okay. But also maybe any questions you might have had. So next, you're going to watch the video of Clyde, Dr. Clyde, I can't remember his last name, and his crew as they explore the ocean, and write down any more facts that you, or interesting questions or interesting facts or questions that you might have in your response journal. Then to turn in, you're going to put down at least 5 interesting facts or questions that you had. All right. Have a great rest of your day and be safe trick-or-treating if you go trick-or-treating.